Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here, joined by Coach Holt. Hey, we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into some geeky type of stuff that Dino Ebel talked about, and Eric Karros and Steven Nelson. I just thoroughly enjoyed listening to their conversation as we bring in Coach Holt. But we're definitely going to break down the action, Coach. So how you doing? Some opening thoughts from you on any of the spring training action.
Well, you can see it winding down, Case. I mean, obviously Thursday's the opening day, official opening day, even though we're already 2-0. It's nice to have opening day when you're 2-0 already. There's only 160 of them left. I like that. But Dodgers getting to look at a lot of people on the mound and in the field. They're giving everybody a shot. The injuries are kind of starting to bother me a little bit. I mean, I think Mookie, as Dave Roberts used the term, turned the corner maybe on his illness. Hopefully, I don't know where that guy found 20 pounds to lose. I could find it real easy, but for him, it's hard. But, and then Freddie, you don't know if that thing's going to start back up again. So some of that stuff's kind of starting to bother me a little bit. I guess Ohtani got dinged up a little bit, It's just it's the nature of the business, and the Dodgers certainly know how to fight through that stuff. Mm-hmm. They've been had everything in the world thrown at them the last 2 years, and have been the world champions and arguably the best team in baseball the last 2 years, even though they didn't win it 2 years ago. So it's an exciting time for everybody, Case. The team is getting prepared, getting set up, and the pitching looks good. And we know, I shouldn't say there'll be injuries, but you anticipate there'll be some injuries. Yeah. Every team will have those.
When has there never not been injuries?
When has there never not been? Exactly. Yeah. Probably since our buddy Ferguson Jenkins threw 400 innings and 19 years in a row, never had an arm injury. Your Guthrie buddy, but those are dinosaurs. Those things don't happen anymore. It's exciting.
Yeah, Fergie would come out to practice about once a year, and we'd get to talk to him for about an hour, and it's just so neat getting to be. I mean, like, hey, there's Ferguson Jenkins standing at home plate in Guthrie, America, right there. And he'd be in overalls, and he actually played for the Oklahoma City 89ers in the 80s, and the land was, I think he was from like Canada or back northeast, and he came, and when he was here, he was like, I can't believe land is so cheap, and so he just loved it here and decided to buy him, I think it was 160 acres north of Guthrie, and became a farmer. I don't think he still lives here anymore, but he absolutely loved it here. Ferguson Jenkins was a jewel. So, Coach, what'd you think about Blake Snell getting the ball for domestic opening day? I thought Tyler Glasnow looked fantastic. Taylor Ward ambushed a fastball. We say it all the time. Doesn't matter how good your fastball is. If you fall behind in the count, and major league hitters, especially ones as good as Taylor Ward, know your fastball is coming, it's going to get hit. So Tyler Glasnow looked good in his last tune-up last night, but Blake Snell gets the ball first. Yeah, it's interesting. Blake, little shaky over in Japan. I wouldn't say anything to be worrisome about, but we've cherished. I know me and you have talked about Blake Snell for a couple of years here on the Dodgers Dawgs, and how we always wanted the guy, and you started worrying about the injuries could pop, whatever. I don't know. It's too late now to worry about that. All I know is we love Blake Snell. He's getting the start. He's been a big time major league pitcher for his entire career. You just hope that continues. And the way Glasnow looked, I mean, that was a great pickup by the Dodgers last year, and we felt that way at the time, and it proven to be that way. But man, he looked legit, big time, and like you said, outside of a mistake to Taylor Ward, those things happen. But it looks good. It's setting up there. But then go to Yamamoto and Sasaki, I guess, after that for the Detroit series. I guess maybe Glasnow will be up. I hadn't looked past the Detroit series of who'll start, but I'm sure he'll be popping up pretty soon again. So that was good to see how good he looked. Isn't it amazing how true pros like Tyler Glasnow, they just know exactly how to ramp themselves up? So we kept talking, like, whenever the guys went to Japan, hey, this is still not quite in the middle of Tyler Glasnow spring training, but it's still not quite towards the end of it. And he ramps up, eventually to 5 innings. And then he has just the great stuff last night. We'll get into his actual outing. But I just thought it was really pro how Tyler Glasnow ramped himself up and then got that last spring training outing and made it really like what he would want his first start in the regular season to look like. Yeah, you could tell he's in season mode. In season. Yes, it is in season. 2 days from now, it's the real deal. Yeah. Even though we've played a couple, but no, you could tell he went after that. Not like your quote unquote normal spring training outing early in March. He went out like the guy, it's time. I need to be ready here, and he looked ready. And it was great to see him be the true professional he is and get his work in. And not only that, carve up some people, 9 strikeouts and only 1 walk. So, that's definitely good to see for the Dodgers moving forward.
It is. And I've had the question asked, hey, 96 to 98, a lot of guys throw that nowadays. Sure. And you see with Brusdar Graterol, he'll throw a 99 and a major league hitter will turn on one like it's no big deal at all. So they time all this stuff up. So why is it, I've had this question, why is it that Tyler Glasnow, hitters seem to struggle with his fastball, even though his velo isn't different than a whole lot of different pitchers in the major leagues? Well, it's because the more backspin you put on a ball, the less it decelerates when it comes to home plate. So in our terms that we've always used, the ball explodes that last 5 feet. So call it spin rate, ball not decelerating, all of that. I call it the ball explodes that last 5 feet with Tyler Glasnow. And to the hitter, that's just a really difficult perception.
Late run. A lot of guys would call it late run. Same thing, Case. Explodes, late run, whatever you want to, back in the old days, a lot of the old timers use the term heavy ball on you. He throws a heavy ball, you just can't get a good look at it. So, no, you're right. Why does he go 96, 98? Yeah, like you said, most everybody in the big leagues does that, but those guys have that something extra. It's almost like Yates throwing 93 and striking everybody out.
Yeah.
He's on the low end of it, and nobody can hit him because, just the little things, the spin rate and the movement, those sort of things that go on, right there is the type of things that make pitchers hard to hit. It's like Greg Maddux throwing 82 all day long and nobody can touch him. It's the art of pitching. It is. We get away from that. Like you said, everybody's a 95. Everybody in Class 6A in Oklahoma is 90 plus now.
They are.
It seems like every team's got in 5A where Guthrie's at. And, so that velocity is just the way of life now. You got to be able to hit it. You got to be able to throw it. But now what do we do? Okay, yeah, I'm 98, but I still got to be able to get hitters out, and that 98 right down the middle ain't getting anybody out. So, the pitchers have sharpened their craft. There's great pitching coaches, great training tools going on, and they're all looking for that edge. Whether you're a hitter, infield, they've got to find something. It's too dadgum difficult to hit a baseball. It's too difficult to be good to throw a baseball. This isn't easy stuff. So, they've all got the physical ability. There's a lot of guys in the minor leagues that never make it that have it. A lot of guys that me and you've seen it at Old Break Stadium and LEP that never make it that have the physical abilities. What the key is find that little extra, whatever it may be, to put you where you can get major league hitters out.
And the reason why the Dodgers like the long pitchers, really tall pitchers like Tyler Glasnow, is that the longer your legs are and the longer your arms are, the closer you are whenever you deliver the ball to home plate to the catcher. And the closer you are to the catcher, the shorter the distance the ball has to travel. It's called extension. Tyler Glasnow has 7.5 feet extension, which means he's basically handing the ball. So, like for somebody like me, starting at 60 foot 6 inches, I'm probably going to be delivering it at 56 feet, 55 feet, something like that. He's going to be delivering that ball at 52.5 feet. So he has 2.5 feet less of ball travel time to just add to that perception of the velo. So that's why the Dodgers love those really long, tall pitchers, and they're just very hard to hit off of, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like Randy Johnson. We laughed about that several times. Hey, he's 6'10"? I mean, that guy, I don't know if they even used that term when he pitched, but he had to be sticking in the catcher's glove. Chris Sale, he's like 6'9", isn't he? I mean, he's been very successful with that. And it doesn't guarantee success, but sure doesn't hurt when and in Johnson's case, elbows and what else coming
all
at
the
you,
knees
arms,
and
everything
ass and elbows,
and then ass and elbows coming at you. Then all of a sudden the baseball's coming out there and killing a bird or whatever. No, that was a bad thing. I shouldn't make fun of that one. That was an accident, just an unbelievable accident. But
that was.
Yeah, it's coming right out of his hand, right there. And good Lord, how did anybody ever hit that stuff?
Hey, I thought Chris Taylor, not last night, but the night before, we're kind of flipping back and forth between the first two games of the Freeway Series. There's process and then there's results. Chris Taylor definitely needs results because he just did not have a good year. He hasn't been hitting the ball very well the last couple of years. So results always make you feel good, right?
Yeah.
But then also you go, okay, well, how did I get to those results? Did I get to the results in a way that I can continue to do and duplicate over and over and over so I can keep having these results. So that's the process. So the other night, Chris Taylor got a fastball in the outer half. He let it get really deep, Coach. And I've been saying this for like 4 years now. I even wrote an article about it, how Chris Taylor married the launch angle. He started swinging up at everything. He started lifting everything. And that's fine as long as you have 100% capacity of all of your tools, because your timing has to be now. So as soon as your tools start degrading at all that launch angle stuff, it's the decline's like that. I mean, it's like straight down. It's not gradual because the launch angle stuff is so difficult to execute. So I say all that to say, he let the ball get deep. It was on the outer half. He did not lift, and he just didn't try to do too much with the ball. And guess what he got? He got a base hit. If Chris Taylor approaches hitting like that, he can help this team.
There's no doubt about it. We love the guy because he's like Kike and and a lot of the guys on this team that can play anywhere on the field. They're so valuable. But that being said, he's still got to produce. Yes, that's good for him. And the good thing about Kike is been known as the great playoff guy. Well, I know he's had a great spring. I think he's hitting about 400, 370, something like that. So he's had a great spring. So is Miggy Rowe. So as far as you look at the averages of the guys that play a lot for the Dodgers, I think I know it's just spring training, but still it means something. It still means something. They're producing, and the coaches are sitting there in the front office, sitting there watching them. So it all means something. Yeah, it's a spring training. It doesn't matter, Case. Like me and you said, if I'm out there with a personal trainer working, it means something. It doesn't matter. Everything these guys do every day is important. So for him to be a big part of the Dodgers, yes, he's going to have to make some adjustments right there. We love the guy on there. I'll go back to, I don't even 2 or 3 years ago, he had like that 15 pitch at bat, hit a home run, foul off. That's the guy you need. Not the guy that's trying to hit home runs every time. That's great, but it's not happening every time. So you're getting a little bit older. I mean, he's not old by any stretch. Don't get me wrong, but he's getting older. Like you said, things are going to start changing on him. Be that gap hitter, be the guy that can play all over the field and produce, and maybe there's a little pressure on him too that Kike is not just proven to be postseason Kike. He's proven to be a very valuable part of the Dodgers who can play anywhere, and he's producing. So the best thing about it is teammates pushing each other. That's what the great teams do. If you don't have somebody pushing you every day, and if you're real comfortable, that's the death of you right there. As a personally as a player, and then as your team.
Totally agree. And here's kind of what my message would be to Chris Taylor is, hey, he's been very good to this organization. The organization defined who he was. He came over from Seattle 2015. The Dodgers made Chris Taylor. Then Chris Taylor gave all that back with all the great play that he had. And here in the last couple of years, I really feel like the Dodgers have been very loyal to this guy. They've been patient with him. They've rewarded him for his great work that he's done with the organization. So tell me if this is a little bit too cutthroat of a statement. My statement to Chris Taylor would be, hey, the organization, they made you. They have been patient with you. You have an obligation to have that at bat over and over and over and not try to lift the ball, not try to hit home runs, not strike out every time you come up to the plate, and just try to put the ball in play and get base hits. You have an obligation to the organization who has invested so much in you and been so loyal to you. Is that too cutthroat?
No, I don't think it is at all. He's got some pop in his bat, too. Like we said, Kate, that don't mean you have to hit it out of the ballpark. Hit a line drive. Hit a line drive. Matt Holliday's a freaking animal, but he wasn't just a home run guy. He's a gap-to-gap hitter and hit the ball on the line. I mean, be that guy. You're valuable to everybody if you can do that. So I don't think it's cutthroat. There's no way this guy, I don't know who would listen to him. Not that he would ever do this, but any time in his life he could sit back and act like the Dodgers didn't give him a chance. It's like Austin Barnes we talked about last time. We love Austin Barnes, one of your favorite players, the first guy you ever talked to down in Oklahoma City. And we love the guy. He's a great backup catcher, but we need him to produce something.
We do.
Because Will needs that rest. That's not cutthroat. This is big time business. This is facts, and this is big time business.
Yes.
And the fact that even though we're in the big time business, the Dodgers can still are able to do that with their players. It shows you a lot about the organization, the type of people they got running it from the top down.
So Max Muncy, and I'm going to be very transparent. I was one that I didn't like Max Muncy's profile offensively. And I will say this, and you're probably going to kill me for this, Coach, and I'm probably going to have to duck after I say this, but modern advanced analytics have really changed my mind on the value of Max Muncy. So, I liked contact guys that put pressure on the defense, hit line drives, less strikeouts, that kind of thing. That's what fit my eye. That's what we grew up with most of the time in the 80s and all that, especially around here with the St. Louis Cardinals and all that. So, really, Austin kind of really turned me on this, just kind of looking at all the ways that he actually helps an offense. And then also, here's the key. The Dodgers have enough great hitters around Max Muncy where they can afford to have a Max Muncy type of offensive profile where he's going to hit some home runs but also strike out. You don't want all 9 guys to be like that, but the Dodgers have enough good hitters to be able to handle a guy like Max Muncy and make him very valuable. So here's what I'm going to say about Max Muncy. Here's his WRC plus numbers for the Los Angeles Dodgers. 139 in 2021, 2022, 106, 23, 135, last year, 146. So anything above 100 is above league average. So he was 46% above league average offensively. I know the batting average doesn't look good. I know he strikes out a lot. Max Muncy, you're talking about making $12, $13, $14 million. This guy's been one of the most valuable contracts of anybody in Major League Baseball, and trust me, that's me doing a complete 180. Where are you at on that?
I'm the same way, Case. I can remember me and my brother Rex, another big Dodger fan, sitting in Kansas City, I think it's 2 summers ago, watching the Dodgers in Kansas City. When that's when we had Trey Turner. We're sitting there going, okay, what's getting ready to happen? Muncy's contract's coming up. We got to keep Trey Turner, go after Dansby Swanson. We're sitting there pumped up. What are we going to do? We got to go for Dansby. If we let him go, we're going to get Dansby. Well, the Dodgers, chose Muncy, and we know what else happened with the shortstop situation there. The way that turned out. But
I didn't want them to at the time, to be honest with you, transparent-wise.
That's a couple of fans said, me and a couple of fans after a couple of cold ones in Kansas City in the summer, a couple of Dodger guys, we're like, what the hell, man? We got to have, if we're going to let Trey go, we got to get Dansby, that type of deal. But they chose to go with Muncy. But this makes sense. Austin Brubaker and all the Dodger people, he ought to be a front office guy with all the stats Austin has.
Good.
That guy's good. He's legit.
Yeah,
but anyway, the Dodgers need to hire him. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, but all the information, the Dodgers knew something that we didn't. I know Max has worked a lot on his defense, and he's gotten a lot better on defense. He can play first, he can play third. He's not really a liability out there. I mean, he's put a lot of time in. He takes good care of his body. He looks like he looked like a guy that could get heavy, but he never really has. He's tended to stay at a good playing weight and dropped a little weight at times.
Good point, Coach.
I think he's a guy that has worked his tail off. But the things I didn't know the stuff you're just talking about right there, that says all you need to know right there. If he's 46% above league average, like you said, he's not the guy. There's a difference in hitting, being the guy, being Ohtani, being Freeman, being Betts,
exactly.
And those guys.
That's the point.
Now if he's your guy, you're going to probably have some problems. I don't mean that bad towards
Agreed.
Max, but if he's your guy, you got issues. You got the guys. Hey, get in there, dude. Play your game, make yourself better. And you're going to, he got a lot of walks last year. I think in the championship series, he was on base, 10 times.
3 true outcomes.
Yes. Yeah. 10, 11 times in a row, the guy was on base. It wasn't necessarily great in the World Series, but, that's what great teams do. Somebody picks up the slack when somebody else isn't doing it. That's what the Dodgers do great, and I anticipate they'll do it again this year. So that's a great thing with Max, and he's earned that trust. But like I said, if the stuff you're just reading off right there, the analytic stuff, he's worth it, and he's good to have. And like I said, the pressure's not on him to carry a ball club. That's a great thing for him. But he still has to produce.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, this is you have to produce still.
I might do this research. I've dove into it a couple of years ago, like in the first 30 games of a season, and it was accurate at this point, but I haven't since then. But it just seems like when Max Muncy hits a home run or just has a good game offensively, that edge, that competitive edge he brings this team, and just the excitement and the toughness. It just seems like whenever Max Muncy has a good game offensively, especially when it's a home run, the Dodgers win like every time that happens. It seems that way. Again, I haven't done the research for a couple of years, but doesn't it feel like that?
Yeah, it does. He's usually somewhere in the mix there with the Dodgers in crucial situations. He seems to be around. No, I totally agree with you. A few years ago, I'm like you, Case. Like I said, me and Ruck sitting in Kansas City. Yeah. We love Max, but we wouldn't. Let him go. Let him go on down the road. And got to get Dansby Swanson or keep Trey Turner. Didn't do either one, whatever. Those guys are a heck of a lot smarter than we are, sitting out in the heat drinking a tall Coors Light out there in Kansas City. But by the way, I'll probably do that again this summer too.
Sounds fun.
It does. It does sound good. Dodgers and a Culver doesn't get any better than that. But anyway, the decisions made there. So, that's a credit. I go back to the same thing. I'm a coach. You're a coach. All the coaches are out there. Coach Bearcall, guys that think this way. It's a credit to Max Muncy.
It is.
It's a big credit to the Dodgers to do their thing about proving to him that they got faith in him. He can do it, but he's got to hold up his end of the bargain. He's got to take care of his body. He's got to take care of everything. So that's a credit to him.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Wanted to give a shout out to Joe Vitrano, Logan Wagner, two big old strapping left-handed hitting prospects that both got their opportunity on the main field the other night.
Yeah.
Both came up with huge hits. Logan Wagner, 6th-round draft pick in 2022, just has not been able to stay healthy. He started having a good year last year, finally was healthy, then he got put on the shelf in June for the rest of the year. So he's healthy again. You saw just how talented he was with the swing the other night. And then Joe Vitrano, whose dad is NYPD, so he is very, very, very tough. Yep. Yeah, and he's a big old guy that hits like 116-mile-an-hour exit velos. I mean, nobody hits the ball harder than Joe Vitrano, but he's also a guy that's not married to the launch angle era. He doesn't mind hitting low line drives, which is why he's able to consistently hit the ball hard over and over and over. So I wanted to give Joe Vitrano, Logan Wagner, shout-outs. Jack Dreyer was, again, awesome. I felt bad for Jose Rodriguez last night, who gave up the lead there in the ninth. There, you had the issue at first base, but Jose's a really good pitcher. We're not going to let one outing sour the good spring training or the good work he's done. But what I wanted to get into next, our last topic here, how awesome is it to have Dino Ebel on the microphone?
Oh, man.
Isn't that cool? So 2 conversations. One is he said, we want runners that put time on our side. So what does that mean? So this is kind of into the weeds, so sit still if you like baseball talk, because we do, and we're going to get into it. So for when the pitcher starts his move to home plate, from the time that happens till the time the ball hits the catcher's mitt, the goal of every pitcher is to have that happen in 1.3 seconds.
Yep.
The goal for every catcher is to have a pop time, meaning the time the ball hits their glove to the time they throw it to second and hits the glove of the fielder at second base, no more than 2 seconds. So the combined time is 3.3 seconds. So what Dino Ebel was talking about, if you have a guy like Kendall George that can get from first to second in 3.1 seconds, that gives him 0.2 of a second of time on his side. I thought he explained that perfectly. Those are the inside parts of the game to where if you start understanding baseball, that you don't have to look at the scoreboard the whole time.
No, and it's even from the high school level, and maybe even these travel ball guys and little league guys carrying around stopwatches around.
Yes,
that's why those are there. Case the first base coach has got it. A lot of times your third base coach, you got it. People in the dugout have. That's what they're looking for.
Yes,
right there. I used to do it when I coached first base. I did it when I coached third. I had in my back pocket. You're looking. It goes back to the same thing I said. Well, you're looking at every edge right there. A guy that puts time on your side. That's a great way of putting it. I love listening to him talk. That's a great way of putting it right there. Because we all know the other side of it. You get a guy, big, long, tall guy out there. Yeah. He's 1.5 to the plate, and dude, we're taking it. You'll see that. The Dodgers gave up a few of those, but I think the Cubs.
That's a disadvantage of having the long, tall Tyler Glasnow. Yes,
that's the other part of it. I think Keely Jansen was bad for that.
Yeah.
They could steal him blind, but whatever. There's some give and take on all that stuff right there. That's a great way of putting it. Listen to him talk about that. You've coached third. I've coached third for a long time. You see that stuff. I know what he's talking about. I didn't really, about second base, telling the guy to get back.
Yes.
I quit doing that myself because of the same. I didn't.
Don't yell get back.
Yeah, I don't want to get back because that means all of his weight's going back and the guy's delivering the plate. It makes total sense, especially as coaches like there when the way he's talking. It's great to see it on major league level. We'd all get him off. You got the middle infielders. He's watching the pitcher menu. Third base coach has got your middle infielders. Keep an eye on those guys. You might tell them, and I might just yell out second. Everybody does it different. I did it different every year, probably.
Yeah.
Just kind of telling the guy.
Or from one runner to the next.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Some runners, you tell them every single move to make.
Exactly. 6 inches off. Yeah. Anyway, stop.
Get back on the bag.
Hold. Oh my God, you hear all the talk. Hold right there. Yeah, all that type of stuff.
Don't screw up.
You never want to yell a guy go back, because I've done it.
Yes.
In my younger career, and the guy's running back and the ball delivered. You're like, okay, it makes total sense. So, but people that don't coach third base or hadn't listened to it, that's very interesting. Listen to him talk. And think about I've done that. So don't do that crap. You learn that as a very successful major league third base coach and coach every day, doing all the work on the field, pregame, after the game, whatever they do with those guys. But no, that's great. I love listening to those guys.
Yeah.
When they got the mic on them, and like you said, I think you mentioned the fact with Eric Karros and him talking, that's great. If you love baseball like all of us Dodger dogs do, that stuff. I could sit all day and listen to that stuff. I know those guys are talking, but that was good stuff. Dino is big time.
So the gist of it is, if you yell back to your runner at second, he's going to go back to second. Then the pitcher's going to deliver the ball to home plate. You're going to get a base hit, and your runner's going to be going back to second base and not get a jump and not be able to score on that base hit. And the whole point of the whole thing was quit overcoaching, right?
Yes.
I mean, we want to coach every single step and inch of all these guys. There's got to be instincts to this game. And then another one, this one really frustrates me because I don't ever know how to explain this to fans. But when there's 2 outs and there's a runner at second, Dino said this point blank, I am sending the runner at home even if I know he gets thrown out, okay? You say, well, why the hell would you send a guy? That's not exactly how he put it. But
sure.
he said he's going to be aggressive. That's what he meant, though. Okay, he sent. So with 1 out and no outs, you don't send a guy unless you know he's going to score. So the rule of thumb is if the runner has hit third base before the fielder has touched the ball, you send him. Yep. If the fielder has touched the ball before the runner has touched third base, then you hold them. That's why third base coaches get down the line so they can see both the runner and the fielder, and they can time those two up and sync those two, see what they need to do. So what he's saying is with 2 outs, those rules don't apply. I'm sending them either way, and here's why. Even for major leaguers, for an outfielder to field a ground ball that they're not used to doing, I mean, they're an outfielder for a reason, and then to pick it up, throw it to an infielder, for an infielder to catch the ball, throw it home to a catcher, for a catcher to catch it in a catcher's mitt, make a good tag, not drop the ball. For all that to happen, hey, major leaguers do it all the time, don't get me wrong. But keep in mind, the guy on deck has a 75% chance, if he's a good hitter, has a 75% chance of getting out, okay? So the odds are better that the defense won't make or will make a mistake somewhere along that relay chain than they are of the next hitter to get a hit. So even if you send a guy knowing if they make a good play defensively, he's out, that's still the right move to make with 2 outs. I have the hardest time in the world explaining that to people. I hope I explained that properly.
No, you did. No, you explained it. You explained it perfect to me.
You're sideways, man. There you go. All right. There we
Sorry,
go.
somebody called my phone up there.
We're good.
No, you explained it perfect to me because I've done it. I know you've done it. Hey, with 2 outs, make sure you get some depth in your lead because I want you cutting this corner right here on second base. You're looking for every advantage. Especially then you get 2 strikes. Hey, if the bat swung, you're moving. You look for every edge you can right there. But yeah, I'm the same way. 2 outs. There's a lot that goes into that too. If you're getting carved up on the mound, or you're not, or you got a chance of getting hits, you're kind of rolling. But even that in baseball can change. All they got to do is make a pitching change, and the guy's pretty good. And all of a sudden things change. Mm-hmm. But I'm the same way. 2 outs, I think you got to be aggressive. You're trying to score the guy because, like you said, even on the major league level, they screw up the relay system every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eric Karros even mentioned the contact play, which means if there's, as a major league hitter, you don't really have time to read the ball off the bat. So if you're at third base and the ball is below your eyes, it's going to be a ground ball. You either go or you stay. I mean, there's no time to say, okay, where'd the ball? Because if you do that, you hesitate. Unless the ball gets in the outfield, you're not going to be able to score anyway. So that's a fascinating conversation.
Well, that's great. There's so much goes into that. And, I know last year, Marty Lee's a great coach, yes. Division I. We spent a lot of time on base running. I mean,
Yes.
practices a lot of time on getting vaulting, getting your leads, getting back, and all those things. And it's such a big part of the game. We all want, read it out of the hand. If the ball,
Yeah.
you want your runner anticipating that ball. Read it. If it's in the dirt, you're looking to take that next base. There's so much in that can be the difference in winning and losing.
Yep.
As we say, Case, winning baseball plays. A lot of it's just a guy getting an extra base. Because he's a good base runner. He sees the ball out of the pitcher's hand, knows it's going to be low, and he gets off there, and the minute it hits the dirt, he's gone. That's an art to that, but that's not accidental. That's stuff that's been coached or he's learned, and he's very good at it. It's something that's been coached in the guy or something he's learned. So there's so much that goes into that, and to hear those guys on the major league level take it to another level, it's good stuff. I love hearing that. Like I said, I could watch every baseball game and listen to the third base coach or the manager in the – they probably wouldn't want to hear the manager all the time. You wouldn't want to hear me as you played for me.
We would, but anybody less R-rated wouldn't.
You played for me. Not a lot of people need to be hearing what I'm saying in the dugout, and I'm not proud of some of what I said. But anyway, it's that competitive fire we all have. So, but that's good stuff. That's a part of. I was telling somebody the other day. You always hear that. And somebody told me again. I was talking to the other day. I can't remember if it was a man or woman. Doesn't matter. Baseball's just boring. It's 1-0.
No.
I said you have no. I said people don't understand. A 1-0 game is more exciting to me in baseball, guys, because every pitch means something. Every play is important because you don't have any leeway. When you're up 10-0, you can make 3 or 4 errors back there, and nobody gives a crap.
Yep.
But, it's a 1-0 game, 0-0 game, 2-1 game. You make a couple of boots and get your butt beat. So, that's why it's so important. That's more exciting to me. Don't get me wrong. I like sitting in the dugout over drinking Gatorade and spitting seeds, with a 10-0 lead. But, I like that too. But that's excitement. Then when you get down into the tough situations, in our case, playoff baseball, same way the big leagues, there's no such thing. I mean, you get some runaways once in a while, but you're going to win a series or win a championship because you can win those tie games. It's funny. We were talking about our basketball team. I was telling you when I was at Glencoe, when we became good, we can play any way you want to. And I heard somebody talking about that on the radio again, talking about a team that could, bunt, move runners over, they could go long ball with you. Using that in baseball terms, like I was telling you in basketball, we could play slow down. You could press us and we'd kick your butt there. You want to play slow down, we'd kick your butt. That's when you get to where you want to be as a team. And, the really good ones, Dodgers, we know they got home run hitters, but they won the World Series by making winning baseball plays, moving runners around. And that's a beautiful part about it. And I think people lose sight of that. Baseball people don't, I don't think. There's some that do maybe, but real baseball people get it. You have to move runners.
That's why you have to have a mix of both.
Yes, you got to be able to do both to be championship level. You got to do both.
Coach, I love you. It's great for me to see your face every time I get a chance to talk to you. So, any final thoughts? Thanks for coming on. No,
I'm just excited. Looking forward to the Dodgers last game tonight, or last preseason game. It's not against the Angels, and we started for real on Thursday, going against the Cy Young Award winner. Hey, you're the world champions. Might as well jump right into both feet and play the Tigers and the Cy Young Award winner. I forget how you say his name, Skewball. Yeah, Tarek Skewball or whatever. So that's exciting. Going to be a big crowd. Great. Tigers are a good team. They got a good manager. Our
they got
Oklahoma
hot
boy,
last year.
Midwest City boy, AJ Hinch, one of our guys down there coaching them up. So we're looking forward to it, and it's always exciting. Opening day is a big thing. I wish I could just take the day off and go cook burgers and sit and drink beer, watch baseball all day. I did that one year, by the way, Case. When I got out of coaching.
Well, you can. They're not going to fire you.
No, I can
won't
do it
tell
now
anybody.
because I'm not really important over here. I'm just an AD. You can tell by looking around. I don't have a hell of a lot going on. So maybe I will take Thursday off and go watch. But anyway, no, it's great to be with you. Great to see you. Love you, God. Sorry to hear about it. This is just me and you. Our buddy Charlotte over in Guthrie.
Yeah.
One of my classmates. I'm feeling for all you guys over. Love you. Loved her. And it's a great day to be a Dodger dog. And let's go Dodgers.